day tomorrow. But the big news, my friend, sports are back. We got our lives back. We got well, at least I do. I haven't been an MMA NASCAR guy. This guy's becoming a wizard over here. But I've been golf exclusively, and now I'm getting baseball back today. My Dodgers are back, and exciting to have the NBA back next week. It's a really good time in the DFS world. It's a really good time in the sports betting world. We're excited here at BetQL. We've put a lot of money in, upgraded some things. You're going to see this channel improve greatly. And come on in and join us while it's free, because right now it doesn't cost you anything. You're getting free information from me and Sheets, and we certainly have the reputations to back it up. Sheets, how are you doing out there? What are your thoughts today? What's it like for you? I know you've got a busy work life in general, but with all this DFS, your brain must be like semi-exploding, right?
Yeah, it is. But and this could be for another conversation. But for me, it's no different than anything else I have going on. You know, if I'm managing my stock portfolio or analyzing stocks, you know, or managing my DFS portfolios and analyzing DFS plays, it's just the same. It's just more of the same. That's all. And likewise, you know, whether it's MMA for me, whether it's MMA, NASCAR, baseball or basketball, each sport has its own, you know, differences and its own kind of subtleties. But for me, it's pretty much, you know, just it's more of the same, but definitely more. And you know, for those of you out there that are listening, I know this is going to be difficult to do. And I guess after I say this, I'm going to say, yeah, right. But, you know, it's the first day of MLB with new rules, with a 2-game slate, with weather, with God knows what. Don't go nuts. You know, I know everybody's all fired up and they want to play they want to max out everything. But, you know, for those of you that haven't really played DFS baseball in a while, you know, you got a full slate tomorrow. You know, we're going to go over tonight's or whatever, but don't waste your whole bankroll tonight. Let's put it that way. Now, with that said, yeah, right, we're going to be playing, but it's definitely going to be interesting.
I get the logic of all of it, but it's sort of like the logic of not playing the Millionaire Makers. I'm just not that guy. Those are all like logical things. I am a logical person.
It's going to be doing as I say, not as I do, because after I advise you guys I'm doing that, believe me, I'm firing it up. So,
yeah.
But I figured I would just, you know, being a father, and which is basically the mantra of being a parent is, you know, make sure it's do what I say, not as I do. So, and make sure you hide what you do from your kids that you're telling them not to do. So anyway, so I am kind of psyched that baseball is back, because you know what's interesting for me from what the first thing I looked at when I reminded myself of what playing baseball DFS is relative to the other sports is just as something as simple as there being all those slots to fill up. You know what I mean? I've been doing a lot of MMA and NASCAR and golf and whatever where you have only 6 spots to fill. So, you know, you're really just sometimes really struggling to find unique lineups, you know, and where baseball with 9, 10 roster spots, maybe not a 2-game slate, but as you get into bigger slates, it's not that hard to find a way to be unique. You know, maybe, and you taught me this right when we first started learning about, when I first learned about DFS, is you don't have to go freaking completely nuts. You know, you can make a couple of very, you know, intelligent pivots and intelligent lineup construction differences and end up with good players and yet still be unique without having to go off the wall and play these, you know, 9 hitters that are never going to do anything, you know. So it's I look forward to relearning how to play baseball DFS with you, how you can change stacks, how you could do like 1, 3, 6s instead of always 1, 2, 3s, and sometimes the 7, 8, 9, 1 until everybody's doing 7, 8, 9, 1 until maybe you want to do 7, 9, 2, 3. You know, so I'm very, very interested. I'm very, very psyched intellectually to kind of get back into what I would say neglected, which I just haven't done in a while.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of excitement. I'm really pumped over here. I'm excited to be back doing these shows with you. I'm excited to be back on sports that I know and love and that I care about. And I was talking with you yesterday about this on a different show we did on our YouTube channel, a little shameless plug, I was going to say, the Bobby Firestone YouTube channel. But anyway, no, we did one yesterday. And I was talking just about how this season's going to play in a really fun way. It's going to be basically you've got everybody playing like a playoff type push. Like that's a really weird thing. If everybody was even with 60 games to go in a regular season, we've just never seen, obviously you'll never see anything like that. This is incredible, the situation. And it's worth noting that the team that won the World Series last year was, I think it had the 18th best record, would have been long out of the playoffs and was well under 500, 60 games into the season. So it's really going to be a wild one. I think teams are going to put their best foot forward. I think you're going to see a lot more pinch hitters, which affects DFS more. I think you're going to see a lot more pitchers removed earlier in games, although you can't pitcher change as much because if you come in, you got to pitch to 3 batters now, which is a really interesting new rule. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting things to talk over. I'm trying to get some technical stuff figured out right now because I'm having trouble sharing my screen for some reason. And why don't you go see if there's any way you can try and share maybe your DraftKings screen if you don't mind, or one of those, because for some reason it's not allowing me to share one of these screens. Let me just try. See if
I should be able to do it. Let's see.
It just doesn't appear to be working on my end. But anyway.
Hang on. Okay. So I'm clicking share screen and it's still blocked.
Still blocking out. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll figure that one out as we get going. Sorry, guys, about the lack of excitement to share the screen.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
Okay.
No, we got this.
As Sheets goes through that, I'm going to go through a couple of other things.
Yeah, no, I'm sharing my screen right now, apparently.
Okay, wait, let's see. Is it up? It looks like it's up. How did it work for you that time?
There was a thing underneath the thing that said share screen underneath the block.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid to do this, but hold on. I don't know if this is going to ruin.
It's sort of an odd split screen the way it's showing.
Let's see what happens when we front the screen here. So now I'm sharing everything. So you got one of these things. So under here, you see it says stop screen sharing.
They're trying to figure it out. I just got a message from the BetQL people, so they're trying to figure it out. In the meantime, while you've got what you've got up right now, leave it like this. Well, actually, hold on. Leave it like this for a second because I need to see it show up on YouTube the same way. But pull up your actual lineups if you don't mind. It's sort of an odd split screen, but we'll get it together. This is partly why we're doing a test run today. This is not our main show, but it's something that we were just running out there. If you have some hot takes on the slate, go ahead and fire them out. I've got.
I don't. So this is what I was thinking of discussing today. Almost like back to basics or whatever it is. So you have a 2-game slate. It is what it is. So you have to pick on DraftKings. You have to pick 2 pitchers and you have to pick hitters. And one thing that's going to be different about a 2-game slate that's as opposed to a regular slate is, at least to this question for you, is how much leeway are you giving yourself to play hitters against a pitcher that you're using?
Wait, say that one more time.
Because it's a 2-game slate, how many hitters are you going to let yourself use against pitchers in the same lineup?
You probably have to use at least one to be different enough, and I think that's fine. You've got a guy like Scherzer who gives up home runs. I'm looking at 1 or 2, but the problem is you want to differentiate some, so you might want to go for 2 against your own pitcher in a day like today. That's what I would say.
So here's my initial take again on how to construct, right? And we'll talk about plays in a minute. I think that, again, you want to be different, but then you don't want to give yourself no chance to win also. But I think one thing you can do, as you would do in any kind of showdown slate, anything, whatever, I really think it's important to leave money on the table. Where you don't have to leave $8,000 on the table, whatever. But I think that, especially with the variance associated with baseball, I think that on a slate like this, you can set your settings to only, to not spend all of your salary. And I actually set mine to be only, 49,600. I didn't go crazy, you know what I mean? I sometimes would go like 48,000, but 49,600. And that's one thing you could do. And we'll talk about a couple of constructions which could be kind of fun. But overall, you have one game. Well, basically, you have three good teams, and then you have the Giants, right? So in the first game, New York, Washington, my first instinct was that I wanted to just lay down the law. Okay, game 1, we're just going to take 2. We're just going to hope it goes off, right? Because my thought was that probably the chalky construction was going to have Kershaw because he's cheaper. He's certainly against the worst team batting wise, and you could get Scherzer, what's his name, Kershaw constructions and get a lot of the Dodger that you want. So that certainly has some viability. I want to get your opinion on that. But the first thing my first bunch of lineups I created, I'm only playing 10, 15 lineups especially on DraftKings, is just doing something different. I was going to just play Cole and Scherzer out of the New York game, and then just go play Dodgers in San Francisco, and hope that San Francisco can get something going, and just get as many Dodgers as I can, and nothing really just too crazy. I mean, I was gonna use Muncy, I was gonna use Turner, I was gonna use Bellinger. He's not in this particular lineup, whatever, but he's in like 70% of them. And I guess the one guy I wouldn't use, as much is Jock Peterson, only because of the pinch hit risk. And again, I could be being very pedestrian and saying something that's obvious to everybody, and maybe he's going to be too low owned for me to get away with not using him, right? But that's my initial build was going to be Dodgers and I was going to say Niners, Dodgers and Giants hitters, and use the pitchers from the New York game. What was your first look at this slate?
I just felt like that's such a common way to go. I felt like, so I decided to take I'm gonna play the 150 lineup thing. So I'll probably play something like 70% Brett Gardner or something.
Okay.
I want to take my one-offs and take heavy shots on the lower owned ones. So like Scherzer, for example, who just dominates righties as opposed to lefties. His home run rate is almost, I think it's more than double for lefties versus righties, the power rate, a hard hit rate, all that stuff. So basically I'm looking at Aaron Hicks and Gardner as being one of those guys being in most of my lineups, if not both of them, even if I'm using Scherzer as my pitcher, who I actually like the most as the pitcher tonight. I think he's got I actually think the upside for him is incredible. Even in this against this tough lineup, there's enough Ks in there for him. It's still scary, of course, but I don't know. So I actually like Scherzer. Scherzer and Cole are the obvious two pitchers. So I feel like I'm actually going to end up with Scherzer and Kershaw probably on DraftKings, and maybe play a few of the Washington bats. Sort of in hoping that my favorite Washington bat by far is Soto, and next would be Howie Kendrick, partially due to price and thinking both FanDuel and DraftKings. So it's trying to fit those guys in with my Dodgers stacks, which even as chalk, I'm going to have a hard time not doing. But at least mini stacks. If I'm looking to do more, like I have my settings basically a lot of 3-3 somethings, a lot of 4-2s. You know what I mean? I don't have.
Now again, I don't know what level people are. So when you say 3-3-2, that means you're stacking, right? 3 players on one team, three on the other, and then 2 1-off.
Yeah, or even a 2-man or something, or a 4-2, or a 4x, 4 from one team. Most people will do the 5 from one team. I think on these types of slates, on general slates, I think it's better to get different and do that. On these types of slates, I think it's even more so that way because it's so obvious. Even though it's logical to do it, if you're trying to win tournaments, you just don't need to do that. Honestly, you probably could argue that a 5-man stack in a cash game would make sense tonight. Like if you were going to play a cash game on this slate, right? A 5-man Dodger stack is probably the way to go. But there's a lot of bats out there that can, one thing is, Cole and Scherzer can both give up bombs. And so you try and pick out the most likely guys to do that, especially on Scherzer's side. I feel like I've done that. And then against Cole, I'm going to mostly go with Soto and Kendrick. So those are my main guys that I'm going to be squeezing in. And then I'm going to play some mini stacks against Kershaw. I'm a Dodger fan, but I have to try and do things a little different. The problem is I don't think that's going to be totally off the board. I think the most off the board would be a Washington stack. So I'll definitely have the Washington a little higher than the Yankees just because I think they're going to be lower owned.
Well, that's really sharp because this is the thing I wanted to get into with you. So I did feel as though because it's a 2-game slate and people are going to just play a zillion lineups and people are going to try to get different, they're going to try to do whatever. I do feel, though, as though the most over-owned players relative to their actual chances of doing anything are going to be the Giants, okay? Right. Because everybody's going to do what I just said, right? They're going to try to, be quote unquote be different, and you can make that case that Kershaw is the easier of the those pitchers to get to, And the fact that you're going to try to get different, you're going to try to get to the Giants. I do think that if you ran like a computer in a million simulations, that the amount that the Giants are going to be owned is probably greater than their actual chances of doing something, And I think that the guys that you hit on were probably where you get the best ratio would be probably the Nationals, like you were saying, because let's face it, it's scary to go against Cole, right? So I think that those guys are going to be, and that they have a chance, but I think they're probably going to be the lowest owned of all of them. And look, it's baseball, 2-game slate, anything can happen, and especially with, you don't know how long Cole's going to go, you don't know what the weather is going to be, and we could talk about that a little bit later. But let me know, Washington guy that you didn't mention. There's a guy, I don't even know if he started. There's a guy that I always would play against righties. When I would play Soto and whatever, I would always play Eaton. Is Eaton getting a decent lineup spot today, or?
Yeah, well, the thing is, actually, I was going to say Thames is the preferred play, especially on FanDuel, by the way. I think you kind of have to play Thames. Well, not have to, but he just costs nothing. But Thames is actually going to have some ownership. But Eaton should be fine. I mean, he's going to be, lower-ish owned for the starters who are batting at the top of the lineup. He's batting second. He's a guy I really don't mind using. I like that call a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'm into, taking shots on these Washington guys. All those. I just don't know if I want – my stacks of Washington are probably going to be more 3- and 4-mans, not any.
Here's another thing we're going to do. We're going to have some fun because people are going to learn from watching these, because I'm going to make sure I learn from watching them, right? So I'm going to ask you the questions that are kind of on my head, which I bet you are on a lot of other people's heads. So mine. So you mentioned that I'm use Gardner, whatever. So when you're playing DFS, especially baseball, it's like a combination of stacks and one-offs, right? And we had this discussion last year a couple of times about what types of guys you can include in stacks versus what types of guys you can include in as one-offs, right? And it's not always the same. And I know that all slates are different and everything's got its place. But I don't want to step on your toe. Would you say that if you were in general, if you were trying to go for someone as a one-off, you'd want that guy to try to make sure that he could get there as a one-off, right? Like maybe get a solo home run or have more power. Whereas if you were trying to fill in like a 4- or 5-man stack, you could throw in a little singles guy or a doubles guy or a stolen base guy or something like that. Is that like in general? Because when you mentioned Gardner, the first thing I would say is, boys, I mean, it's only 2-game slate, but like as a one-off, does he have like home run equity?
Oh, yeah.
He does. Oh, okay.
Gardner has enough home runs to, he was terrible, obviously, parts of the last few seasons, but he's a lefty in the lineup who, we've seen he had 1 year, I think he had the most multi-home run games, even though he only hit like 26 home runs or something. It's just a weird, I don't know, but he definitely has enough power for sure. But again, the perception and I'm going to look at some of my ownership projections here. But I'm going to guess that he's going to be one of the lower owned guys. I think he's one of the lowest owned starting players. I mean, definitely a guy who if I want to look, 75% might be excessive, but if I'm going to, my point is that one of he or Hicks or basically any lefty from New York, if Voit starts.
Is LeMahieu starting or no?
LeMahieu's not. I don't believe he's in the lineup tonight. We don't have lineups, so I can't answer any questions about lineups. I only have projections, which I actually see. Right. LeMahieu. Yes, of course. I'm sorry. LeMahieu. Yes, is supposed to be leading off tonight. But I don't.
So what kind of lineup spot are we looking for Hicks tonight?
Probably fifth.
He's going to be fifth. Okay.
I mean, no, I can't say he's going to be fifth because we haven't seen.
No, we're just talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
projected
that Hicks and Gardner were your favorite guys. I'm not whatever the two of your favorite Yankees. Is that going to be batting order dependent? You know what I mean? Like if are you presuming that Hicks is like a 5 and Gardner is what? Or doesn't it matter?
7, 8. No, 8. Gardner would be 8.
Okay.
That would be. I'd be surprised if he wasn't 8 or 9 or something like that.
Okay.
But I don't care. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not going to care about, I'm going to do exactly the opposite on these small slates and try and get my power spots, like you said. And and you don't need much from these guys to do anything. Especially you get these guys at low owned. Anybody low owned is in play if they're in the starting lineup tonight. You just would rather err towards guys with some power upside. And
let's talk about ways you're going to lose.
But I will bet you the Yankees hit a home run tonight, and I'll bet you one of the lefties does it. So how about that?
Right. So let's talk about things you shouldn't do. That it's like that people could do, just be nuts. It's not a short enough slate where you should be playing relief pitchers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, you shouldn't be like speculating on pinch hitters or anything like that, right?
You shouldn't be. I mean, I think that there's some argument for it. Like, it's very strange to me the Dodgers have a guy who I believe at one point was in the top 20 for predicted MVP voting, who's not in their starting lineup, in Gavin Lux.
I think he's optioned. I think he's sent. I think he was like, they did something with him. Hold on a minute.
We're not going to see Gavin Lux, at least starting anyway. But
I wonder if he was. I saw there was some news or something on.
All right.
Him.
Well, unless we figure it out, because he's not going to be in the. He's not.
Yeah, he's not even in the opening day roster.
I actually didn't have that in my notes yet for some reason. I actually thought he was going to be. I thought he was on the roster, but not starting for some reason. That's my mistake.
Yeah, they said it was surprise news, whatever it is.
I know better about my own team, but apparently I don't. But yeah, so you'll probably see Matt Beatty at some. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't understand who they're going to start yet. So it's like, it's hard. I'm just speculating a little bit, but I am on the guys who are projected to be playing. That can say the Dodger that I'm highest. I'd be highest on Seager. I think Seager, by the way, is going to win the MVP this year. That's my prediction. I love him.
So we're gonna prioritize the lefties on the Dodgers, I presume, right? I mean, they're just
but it doesn't. Just because the lefties are better. For me, the priority is definitely Pollock. He's just too cheap, and he's much, much better than everybody gives him credit for. So I like Pollock a ton. I like, I mean, they're all going to be crazy high owned. So it's hard to, Bellinger is my preferred guy. At least the price might keep some people off of him. I'm skipping more of bets tonight. I'm not as interested in bets. I would rather play Bellinger's power if I'm going to pay up for that. And I don't see myself playing both of them and playing the chalk like everybody else is going to, because they're going to be two of the highest owned, if not the highest owned players.
Who, Bellinger and?
On DraftKings, yeah. And Bellinger and Mookie. Well,
because you can get them in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then that guy from the Giants is going to be really popular because he's 3.1K. Dubon.
Which guy?
Dubon.
Oh, Dubon 3,100, and there's Rufus 3K also.
Yeah. I mean, we need to see starting lineups. We've got weather concerns, so I'm still waiting. But the guys who I can just tell you who I'm prioritizing to get in lineups, a lot of this is ownership driven because you know me, I'm 2-game slates. And the only reason I'm paying the $150 and the $10 is because, look, I've been waiting for this, man. Like, you know what I mean? And you know what? So you try and get weird with it. And by the way, I've won some showdown slates in baseball alone before. So like,
really?
And I've done it with one lineup before too in the big tournaments. It's happened before. Weird things can happen if you get way off the board. So I think that making Brett Gardner one of my priorities is definitely one way to get different. I like Aaron Hicks a lot, who I think is going to be lower owned than some of the other Yankees, and I think he's my favorite Yankee overall. If I was just saying who I expected to do well tonight, but again, it's I would rather take the low ownership on Gardner over everybody. But Hicks, Gardner, Soto. Soto's going to be lower owned than he should because of his price. So I think making Soto a priority. Look, arguably the best hitter, if not maybe certainly a top 3 hitter. Even I don't know. This guy might end up being a top 5 hitter in baseball by the end of the year. So it's hard for me to say where he lays because tonight we have most of the best hitters in baseball. But I just think Soto is a stud who's going to get overlooked because of the Mookie and Bellinger ownership. So I love taking a shot on Soto and hoping he connects with one from Cole. Which I mean, look, we saw this guy hit the best pitchers in baseball like crazy last year in the postseason. I mean, he's one of the elite players in baseball. So I love Soto. So prioritizing those guys where my highest ownership is going to be on Soto, Gardner, Pollock, Bellinger, Seager, Hicks. I'm already playing with 3 guys who are under 20%, which is pretty hard to do when you're making. Yeah. So that's
let me ask you a kind of a
Soto tested positive for COVID again. Like
what
now? I haven't gotten a message about that yet. Oh my God, I just got a message. Wow, that just happened while we were on air.
I don't know if it's appropriate to say on a BetQL, but let the shit show begin. That's amazing.
Okay, well.
So as I was saying, we're going to take Cole, and so who gets to start? Cabrera? Is that?
Let's. Yeah, jeez, man, this makes you worried, doesn't it?
Let me ask you kind of a mad scientist. Here's a mad scientist question. What would I mean? Look, this is America, right? You could do whatever you want. Would people lock you up and throw away the key if you stack the Dodgers with Cueto?
I think you would do that maybe more on – I don't even know how it would work on FanDuel, actually, although the price does make it kind of like fun. I mean, you can mini stack them. If you're going to do that, just play 3 of them or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, what I mean, you get let him
pitch that many.
Let him pitch his 4 innings, get 8 points, whatever it is,
it's
and then let him come in and just get obliterated.
It's so hard, man. It's so hard.
Okay.
I just think it's really hard. Well, that's going to change things a little bit. So I need, we don't have any lineup projections yet or anything like that. So let's talk a little bit more season-long stuff for right now. Okay, we talked about it. We would love it if the Dodgers and Yankees, we talked about that on our show before. But who are some teams like that might be sneaky this year that you think might be able to make a run? Like I like the Twins to make a run. I think the Dodgers Twins sounds like a fun World Series. Although I'd rather see the Yankees because it'd be more fun. Who are some of the teams that might stand out to you that might be a little bit more off the radar? The Twins aren't really that far off the radar either, but that's just
now again. It's funny. I messed up. I was dropping my daughter off in Pennsylvania the other day, and I had to drive through New Jersey, and I had every intention of stopping off when I was in New Jersey and place like sportsbook bets on DK because I'm in New York. I can't place them in New York. When I was in New Jersey, I could have done it, and I just totally forgot. I was going to place some Stephen Loss. I'm a bad son. I got to visit my mom anyway, so I'm going to go to Jersey, visit my mom, and place it from some freaking sports bet for the season. Yeah, I guess the Twins is I guess the Twins are fine. The guys remember the teams that I thought originally were sneaky, it turns out aren't really sneaky at all. Like I was thinking of teams like the White Sox and the Devil Rays, which is it seems to be everybody's kind of sneaky picks, right? Which is fine. But I don't know. I liked your idea of the Tigers a little bit. You know what I mean? Just again, it's kind of a wild play. And again, now I'm rooting for these guys. I mean, like they don't even have a place to freaking play yet. So I'm kind of rooting on them a little bit. Vlad Guerrero is, I root for him. The other guy, Bichette. I mean, they got some hitters over there. You know what I mean? So maybe they do something.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd say in the end, you got freaking Cole on the Yankees now. It's just kind of ridiculous. I mean, like Cole and Paxton. I forgot about him. Cole and Paxton and all these hitters, Stanton and Judge. I mean, it's going to be. I hate to be a freaking chalk monkey with these freaking picks, but yeah, I guess if I wanted something off the board, I'll go White Sox along with you. I guess White Sox, maybe some Tigers, Twins. I guess you know what I like about the Twins. I like always playing Marvin Gonzalez from the Twins. He's like always been my favorite Twin play. You always get like a switch hitter at like 3,200 that I could play like in the 7.
Of course, he was hitting like 190, so there was a reason he was you could get him.
Yeah, I don't know. He hit 190, but he for whatever reason he always hit 400 when I had him. I always had some good luck with Marvin Gonzalez.
That's a good life right there.
Yeah,
with Marwin Gonzalez. But we're going to figure out some of these technical difficulties, guys. We just wanted to do a quick test show. I'm going to actually stay with the people from BetQL to get this stuff fixed, and we will get this stuff straightened out for you. But all right, so we sort of talked about it. I'm picking the Dodgers over the Twins in the World Series. We know we like your sleeper team. You're going to pick the Yankees to win, though, if you had to pick, right? It's your team.
I'm just not doing it. I can't do it. I'm not picking the Yankees to win.
Yeah, and on QL TV here, he's going to disrespect.
I'll tell you what I'm picking. I have actually a rooting interest. I'm picking the Dodgers. I'm going to tell you why I'm picking the Dodgers also. So I want to root also I'll throw this out there at the beginning of the season. If Nolan Long gets called up somehow, I mean, I know the Dodgers everybody increased all their rosters. So God forbid, no Long gets called up because his sister was my assistant coach in AAU. So I'm rooting for this guy to get called up for the minors at some point. So the Dodgers are really the team that I'm kind of rooting for nowadays. So yeah. I'll root for the Dodgers, and I'll give out the Dodgers because listen, every time I watch them play, I mean, to watch these freaking lefties hack at that freaking ball is just so awesome. Like every single time, like the guy takes these lefties take swings. Maybe we'll talk about the Cody Bellinger's new swing one of these days. I heard he has a new swing. They look like they're swinging for home runs every single swing, which I love. So that's I'm gonna say Dodgers. But yeah, let's go be real homers. Dodgers Yankees. We'll go. If it's Dodgers Yankees, we're gonna watch all. We're gonna come and visit all 6-7 games. If God forbid they let them play in the stadium.
Yeah. Let's just go with Dodgers Yankees, man. I hope it happens. Guys, we'll get the technical stuff figured out. We'll be with you every day. Thanks so much for tuning in to QL TV. We are going to get these things fixed, and we will see you tomorrow for the big slate. Let's go baseball. Let's go Dodgers. We'll see you at the top leaderboards, guys. Bye.